I feel a little comfortable.
Sarah and Aisha sat across from each other at their favorite cafe, sipping their drinks. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the bustling street outside. Their conversations were usually light-hearted, but today's discussion had taken a more serious turn. Sarah, feeling a build-up of frustration, finally blurted out, "Why do you have to bring religion into everything?" Aisha looked at her friend, taken aback by the sudden outburst. She put down her cup and leaned in, her expression earnest. "But do you see what your statement really means? It means that we must have discussions from an atheistic or agnostic point of view, without any reference to religion." Sarah frowned, clearly struggling to understand. "What do you mean by that?" Aisha took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "I never say, 'Why do you have to bring secular humanism into it?' I'm sorry, but your atheistic perspective and approach isn't the default for everyone. Me, as a Muslim, looking at an issue as a Muslim from a Muslim perspective is no less valid than you looking at an issue from your secular, agnostic perspective." Sarah paused, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. "But I just want to have a neutral discussion. Why does it always have to include religious perspectives?" Aisha sighed, but her expression remained patient and understanding. "You're just assuming that your perspective is unbiased and free from any particular ideology, but that's obviously not true. So what you're really saying is, why do you feel the need to introduce a perspective that isn't the same as mine into the conversation?" The cafe buzzed around them, but Sarah was lost in thought. She realized that she had been assuming her secular viewpoint was the default, unbiased perspective. The realization dawned on her slowly, and she nodded, her expression softening. Aisha saw the opportunity to elaborate further. "Sarah, just as you feel that following your heart and what feels right is a valid way to determine morality, I rely on my religious teachings to guide my sense of right and wrong. While your approach might lead to different interpretations among individuals, my faith, Islam, provides a consistent set of moral guidelines that all Muslims follow. This doesn't mean one approach is inherently better than the other, but it does highlight how our foundational beliefs shape our perspectives on morality." Sarah looked up, intrigued but still unsure. "Can you explain more?" Aisha nodded. "Let me explain it this way. When you say you follow your heart or do what feels right, you're relying on your personal feelings and individual judgment to determine what's moral. This means your sense of right and wrong is based on personal feelings and opinions, and can change based on your experiences and emotions. For example, you might feel it's right to support a specific social cause because it aligns with your personal values and empathy.
Yummy.
But someone else might not feel the same way, leading to different moral conclusions.
Yummy.
On the other hand, my moral framework is guided by my religious teachings. As a Muslim, I follow the Quran and Hadith, which provide clear guidelines on what is considered right and wrong. These teachings are consistent and universal for all Muslims, meaning that regardless of our personal feelings, we have a common set of principles to adhere to. For instance, charity and honesty are always considered virtues, while lying and stealing are always wrong, according to our faith. To give you a clearer example, imagine there are 10 Muslims discussing a topic like business ethics. Since we all follow the Quran and Hadith, we would likely have very similar answers on how to conduct business, because our moral guidelines are the same. However, if you gather 10 people with a secular viewpoint, you might find that each person has a different opinion based on their individual beliefs and experiences. This illustrates how our religious framework provides a consistent and unified approach, whereas your approach might lead to a variety of different perspectives. This doesn't mean that one approach is inherently superior to the other. However, it does highlight that your way of determining morality is more flexible and individualistic, while mine is structured and consistent across the Muslim community. So, when we discuss issues, it's important to recognize that my perspective is shaped by these religious principles, just as yours is shaped by personal and possibly secular values. Understanding this can help us appreciate where each of us is coming from and why we might have different views on the same issue. Sarah nodded slowly, her expression reflecting a newfound understanding. I see what you're saying. I didn't realize I was imposing my own framework on our discussions. Aisha smiled gently, her eyes filled with understanding. It's okay, Sarah. We can learn from each other, as long as we respect that our perspectives are equally valid. Their conversation drifted into a comfortable silence for a moment, the air between them feeling lighter. Sarah broke the silence, her voice more reflective. I guess I've always thought that a neutral stance was the most fair, but I see now that what I thought was neutral is just my own bias. Aisha nodded. Exactly. And it's not that we can't find common ground or understand each other. It's about acknowledging that our starting points are different. And that's okay. Sarah smiled, feeling a new sense of clarity. Thanks for explaining it that way. I think I understand better now. It's not about agreeing on everything, but about respecting where each of us is coming from. Aisha returned the smile. Exactly. And I appreciate you listening and trying to understand. It means a lot. As the evening wore on, the cafe started to empty, and they finally left the cafe. The night air was cool and refreshing. They walked together for a while, talking about their plans for the week ahead. As they parted ways, Sarah felt grateful for Aisha's patience and wisdom, and Aisha felt equally grateful for Sarah's willingness to listen and learn. From that day forward, their discussions continued to be vibrant and engaging, but with a newfound depth and mutual respect that made their friendship all the more meaningful.